This is a preview of the Math Galaxy Word Problems fun game. It's like a cross between Monopoly and maze searches. And these are instructions, but we'll go through them as we go along. There are 3 different maze sizes corresponding to beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So let's start with beginner, and you can have up to 4 players. So we'll play with 4. And each player can choose a topic. So let's say red chooses 1-digit holes, green chooses multi-step, blue fractions, and yellow time. Okay, so here's a game board, and they're created somewhat randomly, but they'll be similar to this. And players move around the board, and if they land on a cave, they can get to own it by solving a math problem and then collecting all the treasures in the cave. So green spins and moves. Each player starts with $25,000, and the game will last as long as you want. You can choose the winner by, say, who's ever ahead when the first person runs out of money or when all but one run out of money. But most likely you will want to choose a total as the winning amount. And like Monopoly, the dollars accumulate faster as the game goes along. So let's send green into the cave. So you need to paint a wall that is 42 feet by 28 feet. If a can of paint covers 190 square feet, how many cans will you need to buy? So this looks like the multi-step word problem. And the point is to understand the structure of the problem and not get involved with tedious calculations. So there's an on-screen calculator. First we need the number of square feet, 42 times 28 equals. Then we need to divide by the square feet per can. 190. Okay, but that's not the final answer. You have to determine what they actually want. How many cans? Well, we need 6 and a little more than a can, so we really need 7 cans. Okay, so now we're in the cave, and you have a robot that's controlled by a ground-penetrating radar. We have to get the treasure and get out without the robot being destroyed. And if you lose a robot, you pay $1,000. If you get out, you can sell the treasure for $1,000. And each cave has its own characteristics. So one aspect of the game is trying to discover what the rules for that maze or cave is. And we'll give you some hints as we go along so you can help your students with it. But you really want to let them discover the rules for that particular cave. So here you have to build a bridge. While watching out for these snakes. Whoops. Okay, so we got the treasure. Now we have to get out. Okay, so green can now sell the treasure, and green owns that cave. So now blue's turn, which is, okay. So this looks like a fraction problem. And one way to understand word problems is to think of a simpler problem to find its structure. It's like if you had 10 square yards of cloth and it took 2 square yards to make a dress. How many complete dresses can you make? 5. So that suggests it's a division problem. 34 divided by... So for fractions, we need the space, and then 3, and this is for division, so the fraction bar, you have to use this. Okay, but again, you have to understand the final purpose of the problem. So they're asking for complete dresses. So this is one where we round down. Previously we had to round up, but for this one, we have to round down. Okay, so now here again, the trick here is that this is an ice cave, so the robot will continue in a particular direction until those corners redirect it. But again, you want to let the student discover it on his or her own. So, whoops. Okay, so we lost that robot. We have to pay $1,000 for a new one, and we continue. So, yellow's turn. Okay, so I guess yellow gets a crack at that cave now. Okay, so this is the time one. So this is a calendar game, but they're also reading clock. I mean, this is a calendar problem, but they're also reading clock problems. So December, 7 months, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So that should be 7. Okay, so let's try this one again. Okay, so we could go back the way we came, but there also seems to be a shortcut here. Okay, now red's turn. So you bought 27 square yards of cloth. It takes 9 square yards to make a shirt. How many complete shirts can you make with this amount of cloth? So this looks like the one-digit or one-step word problems. So 3. Okay, so in this one, if you notice that there are lava pits that spring up as the robot moves, and if it goes back over it, you lose the robot. So here, okay, so we have the treasure, but now we have to figure a way back. And so again, one trick that you would discover as you explored was that these are falling boulders. They can also destroy your robot, but they can also put out the fires. And one other aspect of it, we don't want to stay there, is that the robot has 2 lasers to blast through the wall next to it in the direction that the arrow keys are pointed. So you control the robot with arrow keys. So here we hit the right arrow key, we destroy that, and also that. So now we can make it to the exit. So this was green's turn, and looks like a multi-step word problem. You can buy a refrigerator for $295 cash or for $80 down and $24 a month for 11 months. How much do you save by paying cash? Well, what's the preliminary step you need? You need to determine what the installment plan cost is. So $24 a month for 11 months. And $80 down. If it gets to be a more complicated multi-step problem, you can always store intermediate amounts. But here we just need to add the 80 to it for the down payment. And how much more is this than the cash price subtraction? Okay, and there are explanations here of the steps involved. Okay, so another type of maze. So this is more of the traditional maze. But here you have to be careful of not getting crushed by the boulders. Okay, but also unlike, say, doing a traditional maze, with the boulders, your route back may be blocked, so you may have to use those lasers. This is another type of cave. It's like the robot is digging through dirt. And whoops. So these creatures aren't that smart. So this is another variation on the traditional maze, except you have creatures that you have to worry about. And observing how they move can make a difference. Okay, so this is another type of cave. So again, you have to figure out a strategy to get to the treasure while avoiding the creatures. Whoops. Okay, and this is another of the types of mazes. So here you have to figure out what route you want, but also to avoid the snakes and get back out safely. And these yellow sort of islands are safe spots. Okay. Here we've jumped ahead in the game, and here yellow owns these caves, green owns these, and red owns that. Green has landed on one of yellow's caves. And just like Monopoly, the more properties you own, the more rent you get. So green has to pay yellow $1,000 times the number of caves that yellow owns. So yellow owns 3 caves, so green owes yellow $3,000. So that's going to go up by 3, that's going to go down by 3. But now green has the option of trying to take decay for itself. So now, if you earn $20 an hour and work 4 hours a day, how many days will it take to earn $3,680? Okay, so another multi-step word problem. So let's say, how many days would it take to earn, say, $100? We have to know how much you earn in a day. So that's a subproblem, and how much do you earn in a day? $80, or we could do 4 times 28. Oh, excuse me, 4 times 20. Okay, but we want to divide 3680 by that, so we could just rekey things indifferently. But you can also use the store property here. So we can store 80, we can store intermediate calculations, and then, so now we clear that, and 3680, and then we divide by recall, and we have 46 days, which is correct. That's enough of the beginner mazes, where we looked at one-step and multi-step word problems, fraction word problems, and time word problems. If you want to quit, you hit escape, where you can exit or you can save the game. Let's call it game 1. And you can use any extension. GAM is a useful one. So, but once you save it, you're still in the game. That allows you to save intermediate results. But if you really want to exit, then you hit the exit. And if you want to retrieve the saved game, you just go to where you saved it. And you can choose new problem types. So let's say red decimals, green ratios and proportions, blue percents, yellow negative numbers. So you can change the problem types, but you can't change the maze sizes. If you save it as a beginner's game, then when you retrieve it, the mazes will be beginner mazes.